This is Joe Biden's border legacy.
Laken Riley, an Augusta University nursing student, was killed while jogging Thursday morning. The following day, police arrested 26-year-old Jose Ibarra. Ibarra faces 8 charges, including malice murder, felony murder, and kidnapping. U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement says Ibarra, a Venezuelan citizen, unlawfully entered the country near El Paso, Texas in September 2022. He was detained and then released by Border Protection. In September 2023, ICE says Ibarra was arrested in New York City for allegedly endangering a child.
This is the America and the carnage left in America after Biden directed Mayorkas to resume catch and release at the border. Now, the murder of a hardworking young American would not have happened if liberal Democrats had put the safety of the American people first. Of course, Democrats claim to be champions, though, don't they, of women, especially working women.
No one fights harder to build a better future for our nation and to lift up women and girls around our country and to secure their basic rights and freedoms than our president.
But those were just words, because when push came to shove, their interest in bringing in cheap labor for their donors and new voters for their party trumps the well-being of girls and women already here. Now, including the innocent child who was allegedly attacked by this man, Renza Mendoza Montez, another Venezuelan illegal who got a free ticket into the country under Biden's border rules. Local media is just reporting that after crossing into El Paso, Texas in September of 2023, Montez was released into the United States, again, catch and release, and was just arrested in Campbell County, Virginia, on 2 felony counts for the sexual assault of a minor. This is heartbreaking. It is infuriating. These savages made their way here because they knew they'd be able to stay. And by the way, they'd get free stuff on top of it. And they get a wide access, don't they, to the victims of their choice, of all ages and all backgrounds. Targets galore. Sadly, there are thousands of victims of illegal alien crime who are forgotten.
Rafael Govea Romero is now behind bars in Jackson County, charged with capital murder in the death of 16-year-old Lisbeth Medina. Edna police say Romero is undocumented.
Darwin Gomez Isquiel is back in the system again, this time in connection with a shoplifting robbery at Macy's in the Queens Center Mall in Elmhurst. He was arrested Tuesday. Police say he was part of a group who stole from the store and attacked a security officer. Just a few weeks ago, he was arrested as part of the migrant mob that kicked and punched 2 NYPD officers in Times Square.
Again, these are crimes that would not have happened if we had a president who cared about America first. Think about the tens of thousands of girls and women across the country who are now afraid of going jogging or even working late, having to park in a garage underneath your building out of fear, because they know our government refuses to protect them. This open border policy is the Biden policy. Why do you think Biden's getting so much money from big business? It's certainly not because they want to raise wages and help the working class, please. They want a never-ending flow of cheap labor entering the United States with the added bonus of demographically changing the country, and you get no say over this. And do not ever believe for a second that Biden was ever serious about a bipartisan enforcement solution at the border, despite these lame lines.
Democrats want to work to get things done. We want to work with Republicans in a bipartisan way to fix our problems at the border.
We have seen that Republicans are not interested in doing anything to address the southern border.
House Republicans want to distort the Constitution and the Secretary's record to cover up their inability and unwillingness to work with Democrats to strengthen border security.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Hogwash. Even McConnell couldn't support the bill at the end. And we knew Democrats were just playing games when Biden refused to even meet with the Speaker of the House on the border issue. Now, explain this to me. How is it a negotiation when the Republican Speaker isn't even involved? Nor were any of the other border hawks who have credibility on this border issue. Democrats were never really trying to shut down the border. They were just wanting political cover. Same reason Biden is traveling to the border this week. Why wasn't he there in 2021, 2022? Where's the border czarina, Kamala Harris? My friends, this is all political theater. It's another transparent scheme to mollify the voters before November. And anything Biden does, like some executive orders that he said he couldn't do 2 weeks ago, but now will supposedly crack down on asylum, that's just going to be reversed if he's ever reelected. And back to Laken Riley's tragic story. It is just one of thousands where Americans are brutalized by Biden's open border.
A 911 call led to a gruesome murder scene, and that suspect, we're learning, was not even supposed to be in the country.
The 11-year-old Maria was found dead inside of her apartment August 12th. She was at home while her father was at work. After texting her dad about someone knocking on their door, he found her body in a trash bag under a mattress later that afternoon. Investigators confirmed she was strangled and assaulted. Police confirmed Garcia Rodriguez was living at the same complex for at least 3 weeks and was last seen August 14th. The Guatemalan immigrant arrived in the States just months before.
How much do Democrats care about these victims? Just a few weeks ago, 150 Democrats in the House voted against a bill that would deport illegals who committed DUIs. That says it all. This is the Democrats' position. If Americans have to die or be injured or maimed or suffer in any way as a result of an open border, whether it's from fentanyl crime, so be it. That's what has to happen. Those Americans are necessary collateral damage. Compare for a minute how Joe Biden and the Democrats on the Hill, the U.S. media, reacted to the death of George Floyd, a career criminal who was killed as he resisted arrest when high on drugs. Remember, the tributes came pouring in for weeks. Cities were burned and looted, and corporations ended up giving millions of dollars to Black Lives Matter. Now, I don't expect a multi-day funeral for Laken Riley with celebrities comforting her family, big-name lawyers representing her family. Of course not. In fact, they know Biden's policies ensure that there will be many more victims because of the administration's refusal to do what's right.
Republicans, in order to win an election, say we need to hermetically seal the border while ginning up this false narrative about this being a crisis. The United States, our culture, our population, our economy needs immigration like lungs need oxygen.
Yeah, I think Laken Riley needed that immigration, AOC. Of course, it's not a crisis for her and people like her. She thinks that anyone who can get to the border should have the same rights and privileges as an American citizen. That includes voting, receiving full benefits, serving in the military, that's coming, by the way, being police officers, we're already thinking about that in Colorado. You get the point. Because for these radicals, there's nothing special about being an American citizen. Nothing. Now, tomorrow's the Michigan primary. Immigration is top of mind for many voters there. And then Super Tuesday, that's next week. The same dynamic will be at play, and it should be. The border issue should be the defining issue for people because it defines who we are as a people. So if voters want a real border, if they want American citizenship to still mean something, and they want to stop tragedies like the murder of Laken Riley, then we must get Biden out of office. Because I'm telling you tonight, if he's allowed another 4 years, we're going to have tens of millions of illegals here to commit more crimes, drive wages down further, and overwhelm state and local governments. And then by the end of 2028, we may be so overrun that it's impossible to save America. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.